Vincent Chow, Prime Minister of Taiwan, welcome to Hard Talk. There have traditionally been loud voices demanding full, indefinite sovereign independence from mainland China for this island. There have been equally loud voices demanding reunification, which remains official policy. In which way do you now see the consensus moving on this critical issue?
Well, we would like to seek eventual reunification under the system of democracy, freedom, and co-prosperity. But of course, there is no timetable for peaceful reunification of China. So we are working, first of all, of course, in our country. You have been here now, you know, you can witness the Republic of China and Taiwan is a democratic country. We have a very open and plural society, and people enjoying their freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, freedom of press, and all kinds of freedom, human rights. So we hope that both our country, of course, will continue our efforts to make the whole country a full freedom, a democratic country. And at the same time, we hope the gap between this part of the Taiwan Strait and the other part of the Taiwan Strait, mainland China, could be narrowed down under the same system of freedom and democracy.
There does seem to be a degree more pragmatism which is taking hold, no more idealism necessarily. In other words, neither independence nor full reunification. Would you say that's a correct assessment?
Well, I want to say that, of course, now the majority of the people living in Taiwan, they have a kind of a feeling that we all enjoy our system of democracy and freedom. So therefore, we hope that this kind of system or status quo could be maintained. So this is the majority of wishes of the people here.
Status quo maintained, but how would that be done? As an independent state, or by reunification, or is there some middle ground now developing?
Well, it's, I must say, of course, when you are here in this very open society, people, perhaps a small number of the people will say that they would like to be independent, but there are also a small number of the people, they would say they will seek the immediate reunification at any cost. But the majority of people, they don't talk about this. Finals, they have not yet make up their mind when will be this kind of eventual or ultimate reunification could be achieved. So it is, if I say, it is still a factor to be developed in future days. So I cannot tell you so when this kind of reunification could be achieved.
Some people say it may be 10 years, maybe 20 years, maybe 30 years, but I was struck by one recent remark by one of the many Americans who come here in a semi-official capacity recently, who said, "We have told both sides there is low-hanging fruit which could so easily be picked." In other words, there are many opportunities if there's the political will.
Well, I don't know to whom do you refer to?
Well, it's Ash Carter, the former Deputy Secretary for International Security, who came here as one of the delegation.
Well, I have met many of the people from USA. They all talk about all kinds of this, their opinion or views. But what I know is it's only in their own personal capacity. It doesn't represent any government's views. So,
but I think it's the perception, Prime Minister, that really there are a number of bits of fruit which can be picked very quickly to ease the tension between Taiwan and mainland China.
Oh, actually, we have done a lot in the past 10 years. That we have taken a lot of steps and measures to ease the tension across the Taiwan Strait. And if you look at the past 10 years record, that we have opened up the door to allow our people to visit mainland China, and then follow with that, then we have established indirect trade relation with mainland China, and we also allow our people to invest significantly in a very substantial volume of our investment in mainland China. And in addition to that, there are a lot of cultural exchanges and so on. And it is all very helpful.
But still, you've got to
the relations between two sides.
But you've somehow got to find a formal way of coexisting with normal relations, however that comes out. How important is America in all this now? How worried were you by the visit of President Jiang Zemin to Washington and the kind of statements which were made by President Clinton afterwards about one country?
Well, we have of course I must say we have no position to talk about the relation between the PRC and USA, but we want to say that any kind of contact or relations between the USA and PRC should not, in any case, undermine the good relations between the USA and ROC on Taiwan. And we have been assured all the time by the US government that the US friendly and substantial relation with our country will not be harmed by any contact of the US relation with PRC. So that kind of assurance has been given by the Washington side.
Nevertheless, there is what is now becoming known as track 2 diplomacy, not official diplomacy, but not totally non-diplomatic action. And sitting in this room, this very room here in Taipei, next to your own office, you've had several senior American former officials like William Perry, the former Defense Secretary, Shalikashvili, the former General, Joint Chiefs of Staff, people who've been coming here with messages backwards and forwards between you and Beijing. How much is moving on that front at the moment? Is that giving us grounds for optimism?
Well, I don't know, but I cannot tell you how much that can contribute to the relations between the two sides. But
you must have an assessment.
But I do. What I want to say is that we had a very clear policy toward mainland China. The policy has been already been announced from time to time under our so-called national reunification guidance. The guidance, we have set our reunification goal with all the steps that we are going to take in future. And we just follow the steps. The main purpose is that we want to establish a harmonious close trade relations. And so all kinds of this policy where has been repeatedly expressed by myself or my government officials to any visitors who are interested in the two-way relations.
Nevertheless, is this track 2 diplomacy conducted by former Secretary of Defense William Perry, is that helping send messages and build a degree of confidence in some kind of dialogue building sometime in the future?
Well, I don't know whether that helps, but it helps the visitors to understand our position. Certainly, I can tell you that most of the visitors, U.S. visitors or other countries' visitors, who are coming here to talk about the issue of the close trade relations, I'm sure will be fully briefed by our side.
Do you feel under any pressure from America at the moment?
I don't see any pressure at all. What I know is that they are anxious to understand our position, which we have already clearly answered to them, and hope that they were fully aware of the whole situation and our policy.
Nevertheless, was Defense Secretary Perry, when he was here, he was quoted publicly as saying that he told your government, sitting here in this building, that if you were to move towards full independence, then you could not rely on America to help you defend yourselves.
Well, we have no intention and we have no policy at all to declare independence. It was not our government's policy to declare independence of Taiwan. Because as a matter of fact, the Republic of China is a sovereign state. It was formed in the year of 1912, 36 years before the founding of PRC. So it is absolutely not necessary for the Republic of China to declare independence. But we are already a sovereign state since 1912. It has been 86 years of existence on the territory of China, of our government. So I don't see any reason why we have to declare independence. So the Republic of China government is now ruled by the party of Kuomintang. And the Kuomintang party's policy is the policy of the government, and policy under the so-called national reunification guidance. So our policy is to pursue a ultimate peaceful reunification of democracy, freedom, and prosperity. So we are not, the so-called Taiwan independence is not a policy of the Kuomintang.
Why are you so uneasy, though, by the determination in Beijing to have one country, two systems apply to Taiwan? It appears to be working now, several months after the handover of Hong Kong. There are no real setbacks. Many of the fears have not been realized. Why are you so worried about it?
Well, because the Republic of China on Taiwan is totally different from Hong Kong. Hong Kong was a colony. 8 months ago, Hong Kong was a colony under British rule. But the Republic of China on Taiwan has been already existing sovereign state. So we are different from Hong Kong, first, number one. Secondly, Beijing's policy of so-called one nation, two systems is trying to downgrade the other system like Hong Kong or the so-called Taiwan into a local government, local authority. So it's a kind of downgrading, which of course is totally unacceptable to the people living on this island.
So could we talk about a federation? Could we talk about the idea of two parts of a greater state of China?
Well, I think this is a question that I cannot answer you now, because since our policy is already clear, so we and we already have, I have made a statement in my parliament 2 weeks ago that we are willing to resume our dialogue with PRC on any issues.
No preconditions, as Beijing
Yeah,
said.
no preconditions on any issues to be put in the agenda. So.
But what do you say? Do you understand the businessmen here in Taiwan, flourishing business, who want to make Taiwan a transport, a freight, an economic hub in the Pacific? And they come to you and they say, but Prime Minister, we cannot deal directly with the people just across the straits. Why can't we move this quicker?
Well, we have actually, if you look at the business relations between the two sides, as a matter of from trade, investment, and other business activities, it has been already very, very substantial. We cannot put all the eggs in one basket.
The trouble is they tell me that it's much more expensive to do business doing it indirectly via Hong Kong, for example, instead of sending a container straight across the straits.
Well, that's only the cost of freight. If you take into account the cost of other risk, then I think you have to take your own country's security as well as dignity into account when you talk about the overall economic policy. You can recall that well, even during the time that the UN passed a resolution to impose embargo on South Africa, I think a lot of businessmen complained that, and the USA up to now they still impose embargo on Cuba. A lot of business and businessmen, as well as in Cuba and the US in the States, they also complain about that. But why the government has to continue and insist that policy? I think you must know about that. And I can tell you frankly, South Korea already signed a so-called, we call it a non-aggression agreement or treaty with North Korea 6 years ago. But still, these two Koreas, they don't exchange each other, not only in trade, economy, but also in culture and other ways. And so far, the PRC, they don't want to commit to renounce the use of force against Taiwan. So they still, and they have been trying every means to isolate us in the international community. And we, on the contrary, we have been so friendly to them that we still send our people, capitals, businesses to invest and engage all kinds of exchange with PRC. So you look at this, I think I must say, we are very open-minded.
Prime Minister, you sit on the Central Committee of the KMT, the Kuomintang, the leading political party on the island. But do you sense that things may change on this issue of Taiwan and China? Because it does appear that the political position of the KMT is weaker now following the elections last November. In other words, you may not have the dominant political position that traditionally you have assumed up to now.
Well, whatever we say, but I must say, our mainland policy is not a policy just for the political power or political advantages of Kuomintang, of ruling party. It is a policy that has to do very much with the survival and well-being of the people living in this country.
But has your party been shaken by the fact that no longer do you have the political dominance anymore? The Democratic Progressive Party is making strong pushes into your traditional heartland.
Well, that's of course in a democratic country, you have to face that kind of challenge. But it doesn't mean that we have to change all our policy, because the policy like this Mainland policy is a policy that is where very much vital or at stake with the security and well-being of and survival of the whole country.
Well,
so
there are many.
I think the majority of the people still support our Mainland policy.
But there are many analysts who say actually that KMT is now facing its most difficult year in Taiwan since 1949.
Sure. That's where KMT has been ruled the country for more than 86 years, and now where even in Taiwan it has ruled for 50 years. So if you're under such a very keen competition of elections and democratic process, you have to face that kind of challenges.
But do you feel your supremacy is vulnerable now, that you may be kicked out in the legislative elections?
Not necessarily, but we have to work hard.
But you're worried?
Not worried, but we have to work hard. That's why we have to do more to help our people and win the people's trust.
And do you see the Democratic Progressive Party now challenging you very seriously with some of its policies, having backed off one of its critical policies on relations with mainland China?
I don't think so. I think where they have been where I have said that what they have changed is the policy that is more endorsed to the ruling party's policy.
Now you as Prime Minister are central to the image of Taiwan and central to the leadership of the government. And you came to power after some demonstrations last summer about crime, which led to the removal of your predecessor. How much do you think you have restored confidence in the position of Prime Minister by your new tactics on crime and the way you have taken your message much more to the people?
Well, I think we have to, first of all, of course, we have to restructure or reorganize our police organization, police department, and of course give our police more support so that they will be more efficient in combating with crimes.
Do you feel you've achieved that?
Yeah, we have achieved that. At least we are very happy that the morale of the police now in Taiwan is much higher, and the crime rate has been lower.
But there was also a crisis of confidence in the position of Prime Minister with your predecessor. Do you feel that there is now a restoration of confidence, that there won't be demonstrations?
Gradually. I think there has been a restoration of confidence step by step, and if you look at the reduce of the crime rates in the last 6 months, and also there are more and more collaborations between the police and the people are getting more we are more willing and more cooperative with government to fight against the crimes. I have a confidence that that this kind of confidence, trust, will be restored.
What What about the way you are conducting your job as Prime Minister? You've brought a different way of doing things. People say you're not as distant. You're known as Smiling Hugh.
No,
what is your principle?
No, actually, I came from a very ordinary family, and I was born in the south part of the island, in the countryside, and so then
Your father was a vegetable seller?
Yeah, right. My father was a farmer and became a vegetable seller, and so I have no distance with people all the time. And then I was also I have served in the government as a civil servant for 35 years already, and then so therefore I know all circles of the people and can easily get along with them.
But you're a civil servant, not a politician. So how have you managed to make this switch out of the bureaucracy into being the public figurehead of the government?
That what I need you to tell me, to teach me. I'm still trying to adjust myself to become a public figure. But of course, you know, I have been serving as 3 ministers in the last cabinet. So in that, because of that, and I have long served as a Director General for Foreign Trade, and has a lot of experiences in dealing with the trade matters and the trade policies.
But nevertheless, Prime Minister, I mean, you talk about your time in the bureaucracy like that. It's not every civil servant who will decide to leave his black car and get on the bus and tell his driver to stop at red lights. Now, that's a different mentality. That's a different way of doing things.
Right.
You've clearly made up your mind that you have to restore confidence in the job of Prime Minister.
Right.
What is it about what you're trying to do which makes you believe you will succeed?
Well, I think what I think is that with the whole team in the cabinet to work together to achieve our goal, objectives of how to solving all the problems to meet the needs of our people.
Have you told all your cabinet members to stop at red lights and get on buses?
Yes. Every week we have a cabinet meeting, and every Monday we have a regular meeting and a luncheon meeting, working all the time. I have to meet them and tell them what to do. So because I have a very easy access with people from my countryside, from all of that, and I have been serving. I was elected in my national legislature, so because of that experience, so I have more access of information from all circles. That I know what is demand of the people, the needs of the people, that I can tell our cabinet minister where to stop and where to go and how to work.
And do they listen?
Well, sure. That's a team. As a team leader, you have to make them to follow the coach father's coach instruction.
Clearly, one thing that has always been very important to you from your time in Central West Taiwan, when you were in your family, you were the 3rd son of the vegetable seller, was the importance of your family. And you live here in Taipei with 4 generations of your family under one roof. How important is your family to what you're doing now?
Well, I think it's of course very important in the family, particularly for our Chinese. We have a culture and tradition to have a very strong family tie. So certainly I very much appreciate and enjoy family life.
And do you, at the end of a day here in this office, go back and talk to all 4 generations and tell them about the stresses of your job here?
No, I don't talk with them. Any government affairs, because it's at home. I just enjoy talking with my mother-in-law, who is already 94 years old. Talk about all the life of her early days, and then talk with my little kids of my granddaughter, who is only 4 years old, and enjoy with her. She likes to play computer games, and she sometimes teach me how to play in her way.
When you took over on the 1st of September last year, you made one remark about why you had not taken an American scholarship several years earlier when you were still a student. And you made an intriguing remark when you said, I didn't take it because... Sorry, Nick. When you took up your job at the beginning of September last year, you made one remark which intrigued many people about why you hadn't taken a scholarship in the United States when you were much younger. And you said you didn't take it out of obedience to your mother. What did you mean by that?
Well, you know, I came from a very ordinary family. My parents sacrificed almost lifetime of their material comfort for my higher education. So they expect me, of course, to be with them. Particularly my mother. She was hoping that I can stay with her. And so when she learned that I'm going to abroad, to the States for advanced study, of course, she told me that if I could come back every year, or even every half a year to meet with her, then she will accept it. Otherwise, she hoped that I better stay at home.
Did she tell you not to go to America? Is that what you meant by obedience to your mother?
Right. So I thought, since my mother was very good to me, and she was not at that time. She was already not feeling well. So I accept her advice, and then turned down my original plan to study in the States.
Do you regret it now, Prime Minister?
Not much.
Because many in Taiwan have been to the United States and studied and got their degrees, their higher education, become professors and so on.
I only regret that I don't speak good English because I don't study in the States. But I do feel quite okay. But even not study in the States, now with this very rapid exchange of communications and technologies, where we also can learn everything here at home. So.
May I ask you what your feeling is about some of the complaints that are made about your position as Prime Minister, that you, because of the change of the law, you were appointed by the President and you're not as answerable to the legislature? And there's a feeling that, an accusation, a criticism that you are too close to the President in that sense.
Well, I think first of all, I have to be close to the President, of course, because I'm appointed by the President, and by our Constitution, I have to close to the President. I don't think, I don't regret on that. So this is, you have to know our system, our Constitution. So it is not regrettable to be close to the President first. Secondly, I think even I'm appointed by the president, and we by our new constitution, without the consent of our legislature. But you know, my background, I have a very good because of my background, that I've served in the legislature for more than 2 years, and I get along very well with all the legislators. So I have no difficulties of communicating with them, so we maintain a very harmonious and interaction.
How much do you resent the criticism of the fact that you were appointed by the president? Some people have used some pretty rude descriptions of what they consider your relationship with him.
I don't feel any kind of resentment. I don't think. I think it is not important whether you are. It is not important of that. What I think is you have to care more is that whether you are in your capacity as a prime minister, whether you do everything to be responsible to your legislature, and whether you can do everything to be responsive to the needs of your people. So I hope, and I will do my best to follow that.
And do you feel you have a free hand?
Yes, certainly.
You can make the decisions?
Certainly, why not? But of course, where you have to do that according to the Constitution.
Would you like to be more answerable to Parliament as a Prime Minister?
Well, we have already been answerable to the Parliament. Yeah.
Could I finally ask about the last few months and the extraordinary difficulties this Pacific region has been going through? Taiwan has done extraordinarily well in the sense that you've escaped the crisis. Your latest growth figures are 6.8%, 6.81%, which some people are saying is extraordinary. How is Taiwan now trying to capitalize on its position as a relative island of stability economically? You personally have been on what many people have called secret missions to places like Indonesia. What are you trying to achieve?
We just want to show, first of all, we have a large stake in the region, that we have about 38.5 billion US dollars of investment in the region, in the ASEAN countries. Secondly, we have also a large of the not only investment, but also trade and other relations with the whole region. So we would like to seek a way to help the region to stabilize their financial and economic condition.
But have you seen this crisis as a great opportunity for Taiwan to create greater influence in the region because of your financial stability? You're looking for friends.
We are looking for friends. We want to show the message to our friends that the friend in it is a friend indeed. So we are a friend indeed, because we want to share our experiences and our concern with them and see whatever we can do. We will have to try our best.
But with all the cash you have very little debt in this country. Are you actually saying to them, we can help you with your financial crisis, in return we want you to support Taiwan at a difficult time?
No, we didn't say that. We didn't have any kind of trade with that.
No deal?
No. What we want to do is that we want to give them a kind of a message that we are part of the region. So we want to see the region to be stabilized financially.
And is Taiwan offering money under certain conditions to help the bailout?
We have not talking about that. We just want to see the region stabilized in a long-term way, that the investment will be continued, and of course the trade will be also be expanded. And if there is any kind of financial difficulties in our relations of trade and investment, we can sit down and talk how to solve this kind of problem.
Nevertheless,
what we like is that we would like to join the multilateral mechanism.
Could you say that again? We would like to join. Sorry.
We would like to join.
Could you say that again? Sorry, I interrupted you.
What we want to say is that we would like to join the multilateral mechanisms of cooperation, of financial cooperation. In other words, if the IMF or ADB is any kind of financial assistance program, we hope that we could be invited to join the program.
Nevertheless, the analysts who say this is a great opportunity for Taiwan to create more influence using your financial stability at a critical moment when you're trying to get UN membership, you're trying to enhance your profile, you wouldn't say they're wrong, would you, these analysts?
No, I didn't say that. Well, I didn't say that we want to create a greater influence in the international society and so on. No. What we say is that we want to make more constructive or significant contribution to the stability of the regional financial crisis. That's all.
Could I ask you finally, Prime Minister, you've now been in office for several months. Many are speculating here, is he going to run for president?
No. No, there's not any kind of that plan in my mind. So what I want to do is to do my job and with my full energy, and hope that I could accomplish my mission as a Prime Minister to work for my people. That's all.
And you rule that out?
Yes, I rule that out.
Prime Minister Vincent Chow, thank you very much indeed for talking to us on Hard Talk.
Right, thank you.
Thank you very much indeed.